first two topics are covering like national kind of issues, and then our next two after that are like local issues, and one even like connects back to our school. So next slide. So we're talking about like if LGBT people can get fired from like their jobs and stuff. So 21 states in the District of Columbia have passed laws prohibiting employment discrimination based on sexual orientation, and 18 states in DC have laws prohibiting discrimination based on gender identity. And then hundreds of companies have intact policies protecting the LGBT employees. And for the Fortune 500 companies, 443 of them have implemented non-discrimination policies, including sexual orientation, and 282 have policies that include gender identity. And then there's a thing called ENDA, which is the Employment Non-Discrimination Act, and this provides basic protection against workplace discrimination based on these things. And you can go to the next slide. And so the problem here that we're looking at is that like Americans are denied jobs and fired or like denied a promotion because they're LGBT, and there's no federal law that consistently like protects them from employment discrimination, and there's no state law in 29 states that prohibits discrimination based on sexual orientation, and in 32 states that do so based on gender identity. So we put this link. So it's just talking about what it says. Can Michael Sam be fired for being gay?
Can we just get some presentation notes? So do you need to see what's happening, or is the audio just going to be good enough?
Just the audio.
The audio will be fine, yeah.
Hi there, I'm Monica Lindstrom, and this is Hopefully Speaking. This week we're going to tackle the question, can you be fired because you're gay? Now this became very relevant this past weekend during the NFL draft. Michael Sam was an openly gay football player at the University of Missouri, or Mizzou as some affectionately call it, who was actually drafted by the St. Louis Rams. He went number 249 in the draft. He was not the last pick. That's usually called Mr. Irrelevant. But even if he had been, there would be nothing about him that would be irrelevant. And that's because he is openly gay. And this is the first time that we've had an athlete in the NFL draft that has already come out and said that he was gay. So the issue is, if the Rams decide that they just don't want to deal with the trouble of him being gay, meaning that fans don't like it, sponsors don't like it, or perhaps there's just a lot of issues in the locker room between the teammates themselves, if they just don't want to deal with that, can we fire him for just being gay? Take away his stats. I know he's called as a cleaner, his stats at the combine really weren't that good, but he was at least good enough to be drafted. Put all that aside and just think about the fact that he's gay. The answer is yes. Under Missouri law and here in Arizona, he could be fired for being gay. Not only could he be fired, but you could be fired for being gay. That's something that you need to think about when you're going to your employer, because if
Okay, so that's like the Missouri law is why they can fire him for being gay. But so then we're going to talk about the Wisconsin law. So, so the Fair Employment Law in Wisconsin says that it's unlawful for employers, employment agencies, labor unions, and licensing agencies to discriminate against employees and job applicants because of things like age, color, race, sex, sexual orientation, arrest record, and things like that. And so like when we looked at this, what we thought we need to change is the fact that for the Wisconsin one is the fact that someone like can get fired for being transgender. So right now in 32 states, there's no law protecting transgender people from being fired. And in the 2011 National Transgender Discrimination Survey, 47% of people who responded had said they had negative job like outcomes because of this, like they were fired or like not given a promotion because of this, because there was no policy. So pretty much we think they should like add a gender identity and gender expression to the Fair Employment Law in Wisconsin. And sexual orientation isn't even included in Missouri's law, so we think that has to be like updated in other states. And then Meg's gonna talk about like the local stuff.
Okay, so school policies. All public schools and all schools, private and public, have a non-discrimination statement, which says things like it's sort of like a mission statement, but it's also saying, you know, we don't discriminate against people who are blank, 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 whatever. So public schools tend to be a bit more inclusive, a bit more like extensive with this because of all the legal government federal things that they have to follow. Whereas private schools operate on their own, so they can more pick and choose the things that they put in there. Public schools that I've gone to in the past, I went to Calamari Middle School, and that one was very extensive and very long, and it did include things like sexual orientation, but many other things, you know, physical, learning disabilities, political affiliation, things like that. CMH's only includes, I think the exact language is right here. CMH says it does not discriminate on the basis of race, color, national origin, and ethnic origin in the administration of its educational policies, admission policies, scholarship and loan programs, athletic and other school administrative policies. So what we think is that while private schools, it would be unconstitutional to make a private school have to change its policies because of a federal law, the school can go on its own and change it. And Catholic schools like CMH, they don't have to necessarily say that they support LGBT rights. Of course, they can say that they don't support these things, they aren't in line with the church, but they can say that their students, that they respect all people, and their students will not have to be victimized by prejudice or discrimination, including, you know, everybody gets fair treatment from teachers and from their own peers. Alright, so alright, so marriage equality. So this is a map of the United States. As you can see, there are currently 35 states in which same-sex couples can be married. They're all the red ones, so you can see. And then,
This is the it's like pending in the red line states.
yes, and then
this is marriage ban. That's in
bans.
like Alabama and stuff like that.
And then I can't remember that, but it's a map. So, so you see there's 35 states where it's legalized, and there are 3 states that still have civil unions in place instead of marriages. The first state to have that was Vermont in 2000, and then in 2009 it was repealed and replaced with marriage because they came to the decision that a civil union is second-class status. Yes.
Wait, so what does the red outline mean? I can't really
This
read
red is like where it's legal for
Okay.
same-sex marriage.
And then what about the ones where it's like white state and it's got a red outline?
This one?
Yeah.
That's where it's pending.
It's pending.
Pending. And then how about the blue? I'm sorry, I just can't
green,
read.
I think.
This
Yeah,
one,
it's kind of hard to read.
this is where it's like banned, like Alabama and like Kentucky and Tennessee.
Federal.
Shocker there.
And this one's like seeking
Like
review.
seeking review. So they have like a marriage ban or an anti-marriage law, but it's being reviewed, so that might change sometime in the near future.
Is it legal in Wisconsin?
Yes, it is legal.
It is now finally legal?
Well, it's not like completely legal, but people can apply. Couples can apply for marriage license.
Okay.
It's in the process of becoming legal. Anyway, so civil unions are it's not equal, civil unions and marriages. The marriages are seen like equally. If you go to any state, you'll have the same rights and the same treatment. Whereas civil unions aren't respected in the same states. So if you move, then your civil union from the state that you were living in isn't regarded. You don't have the same rights as when you were in the other state. And you can't end the civil union the same way you can end a marriage with a divorce. There's not really any legal way to end a civil union. Well, there is, but if you live in a state where they don't exist, then you can't. And federal benefits. If you have a civil union, you have to still fill out on your tax forms that you are single, and you don't have rights like the right to be a Social Security survivor benefits. You don't have the right to that. The right to sponsor spouse for immigration purposes. The right to take leave from work to care for a family member. And in other forms, in like taxes, things like programs like Medicaid and other government programs and insurance, you don't have the same status as a married couple. Yes.
What?
Are we allowed to ask questions during this?
No, ladies keep going.
Oh, I would have answered your question.
Okay.
Okay. So in conclusion, it's a separate but unequal status. It's a